Hi there. In the last lecture, we looked at how to create a Django app as well as how to create migrations to an SQLite 3 database and how to create a super user. In this lecture, I would like to discuss how we can make more more use than we've had before with using Django's code creation shell framework to create an application for us. So when I say application, I'm talking specifically about an application in the context of a Django program. Now, one Django program can have multiple applications within it. So I prefer to call these models because they make more sense to me. This is because an application will usually be mapped to a single model, which is a single database. You can have multiple models within one application, but this is really only for the sake of creating relational connections between your models. So I'm going to just to demonstrate how to create an app quickly in Django. And then I'm going to move through how you can expand upon the default code that is created, and hopefully all this talk of models and applications will make more sense as I go along. So again, we are going to run our python manage.py um, file with a Python compiler as we've done before, and then I'm going to run the start app function within that, and then I'm going to give my app a name. So as we discussed before, um, basically what Django does is it has a base application or base program, and then you can create apps within that program. So what you will notice is when I create my app, it will give us a new folder, and then it will neatly set up everything similarly to the way that it has set up my blog, which is the default core app that is created when a new Django project is created. So I'm just going to call this app blog. And then a whole set of models and views and a whole lot of extra goodies are going to be generated. So this is basically, I can call this app whatever I want to. Because it's a blog, I'm obviously calling it blog. So there's no special reference to anything here. If I hit return, it's now going to create the blog app. So we can now see there's a blog app. And within the blog app folder, there is a migrations folder, which is great because this is where all of our migrations will sit. There is an admin file, which anything relating to our admin area of the site will sit. There is an apps file, so this relates to the apps that are inside of the blog. And then the three folders that we are going to be looking the most at is the models.py file. Now this is where all of your models which get mapped to the database within your app will sit. So we will define all of our database tables, etc., in here, and then they will be mapped to the database when we migrate the models. Tests is if you want any tests. We are not going to be using tests. Sorry, this is not an important file for us at this stage. And then views is also an important file. This is where we actually see stuff on our app on the front end of the site. So cool. Let's add this particular app to our settings.py file. So if we open up my blog and go into settings.py, you'll see we've got the section for installed apps. So it is really as simple as just saying blog in here. So we can just say blog, and now Django knows that we have the blog app. So this is really, really great. Now the next thing that we want to do, I think, is to run this application or run this Django program and actually see what happens. So I'm going to go back into my console. I'm going to run manage.py and then the special command called run server. And what this will do is this will activate Django's built-in web server, which is really, really powerful. So if I hit return, what it's doing is performing system checks, it's doing date, etc., and then it's telling us where our server is running. Now what is really great is because this is a server, anytime somebody accesses the server, we can see what they are accessing here in our console. So if I go to my wonderful browser and I run this, we could just as easily just say localhost, because that is the local host. And then we're running it on port 8000. All of this stuff is configurable. So if you have something else running on port 8000, you can change that. We're not going to go into that right now. And you'll see it has worked. Congratulations on your first Django powered page. This is amazing. Of course, you haven't actually done any work yet. Next, you'll start your first app by running python manage start app label. Now, we've already created our first app, so that's cool. But unfortunately, we haven't linked it to the front of the site yet. Before we link anything to the front of the site, I just want to quickly take you to the back end of the site, just so that we can see what's going on there. Now, if you'll remember, we created our super user. So if we go for 8000/admin, you'll now see that we can log into our Django administration area. And I made my username admin and my password, and not now please. And now we have access to our Django backend. This is really nice because it gives us users and groups by default. So I can change anything about my user here if I want to, and I can add my user to a specific group.